Joining me now on the news at 10 is a member of the Say No to Corruption campaign, Mr. Ezenwa Nwagwu. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Mr. Nwagwu, thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening. The DSS says this sting operation falls under, falls within its jurisdiction, that it's part of what it's supposed to be doing. What do you say? Does this fall under the DSS jurisdiction to perform sting operations like these?
Well, I think that the state doesn't set up a secret agency to be nice. Part of why perhaps the police or even the FCC was not used in this particular operation will be because they were clear that they would need perhaps, if you like, unconventional methods in tracking their suspect. So the argument as to whether it is within their purview will have to be determined at another discussion. But clearly, they have said is within their mandate. There are plurality, like Sheikh Garba said, about different lawyers have come out with different arguments, some in support of the action of the DSS and others against it. But basically for us, they may not get a clap from us, but I don't think they should be slapped.
We've had the reaction from the Nigerian Bar Association, which made some demands yesterday, asking that these judges be released without any conditions, and that that the DSS should follow the proper due process in doing these things. And then we also heard from the president's special advisor on media, saying that the president still has respect for the institution of the judiciary. Does this portray respect for the judiciary, sneaking in on the judges and picking them up in the middle of the night?
Well, I don't think this is. I don't think it's clearly an onslaught on judiciary. There are consensus all over that a lot of people agree that there is a problem with the judiciary, and advocacy. We've treated the judiciary with a lot of reverence in the face of the avalanche of evidence that has implicated a lot of the members of a lot of judicial officers. So what we need to do is not to begin to use a black tar on judiciary, but to say, look, there are individuals within the judiciary that need some explanation to do, and they must have to be made to give those explanations. If there are very verifiable grounds on which they can be arrested, and they have been arrested, they are not going to be taken to special tribunals. They will also be brought to court and to prove their innocence. So I don't think that it is something on judiciary. We think really that judiciary itself has agreed that there is a need for reform, there is a need for purge. The NJC has tried to resolve their issues administratively, in many cases recommend people for prosecution, but it has simply nibbled on the problem. And I think that they've brought this ant-infested firewood home, and they should not blame anybody for the visit of the lizards.
Very clearly, all institutions in the country are participating in this fight against corruption, the DSS inclusive. But what would have been perhaps the best way for the government to go about this without involving the use of force?
We are put in a very inconvenient dilemma. We have a challenge of corruption. If you follow the niceties, the legal niceties that a lot of people are recommending, which is okay, but you also find out that some of the evidences will disappear. You are likely going to get people getting perpetual injunction from their colleagues to ensure that they are not brought to book. I think that the best way will be for internal mechanisms within the judiciary itself to rise up to the challenge of purging themselves of the people who have questions to answer within them, and doing that in a way that is transparent and open and that can restore confidence to the institution itself. If we don't do that and expect, because a lot of people keep arguing that, oh, the NJC, and I say, hey, if we continue that way, the medical doctors, engineers who have their colleagues implicated in professional misconduct and the rest of them will also begin to raise issues about when their colleagues are brought to book.
Mr.
So the thing to do is to ensure,
so
first and foremost, that within the legal profession that they're able to deal with these issues themselves.
Mr. Ezenwa-Nwagwu, thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10. Mr. Ezenwa-Nwagwu is a member of the Say No to Corruption campaign. He joined us from our studios in Abuja.